they drone on and on and on and on, and it's just like, dude, is this show ever over? Hey everybody, welcome to User Friendly episode 5. I can't believe we're already at episode 5. My name's Erfon Elijah. I'm here with
Roberto Hoyos.
Roberto Hoyos.
How are you?
I am doing better.
Yeah?
I was dying.
What happened?
So it was my birthday this last weekend, and
Happy
we went
birthday.
out. Thank you. And we had a birthday party. But the day before my birthday party, I went to an '80s party, and which was also fun. I ended up having some drinks.
Got AIDS.
Got AIDS. The '80s
Just
party.
this theme.
Yeah.
Full-on theme.
It was a really inappropriate party, and so some of the people I know have all been sick, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna catch it. But then I drank at the '80s party, and the next day drank at my birthday party, and by the next day I was sick, and I was like, oh, dude, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be like only partially sick for a day or two.
Yeah.
I got really sick. So by yesterday, I had a temperature of 102. I slept. I went to my bed to sleep. I was freezing. I had my jeans on, a hoodie on, and my jacket on over it, and my hood pulled over my head. In my bed, with my blanket wrapped around me, and I was still cold.
Jeez.
So I was almost like thinking I was gonna have to cancel today. So I was gonna be like, see if we could do another day. But thankfully, I felt a lot better this morning.
Good.
But hey, before we move on
Yeah.
to our stories, why don't we say what User Friendly is?
If they're still watching?
Yeah. We haven't lost you. User Friendly is a really fun podcast with Roberto and myself, where we talk about our favorite technology stories from the week, and we just have a grand old time. Did I miss something?
Tech, geeky stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever comes to mind. And we have a pretty mixed bag today.
Yeah, we do have a mixed bag today, so let's just jump right into it.
Cool.
When we wrapped the podcast last week,
Yep.
the very next day, Apple announced Mountain Lion, their new OS, Mountain Lion. Lots of different changes, and they released it in a strange way, kind of, I think.
How?
Well, normally they would have an event for something like this, right? So they would have an event, and they'd have a bunch of people come, and they'd give a keynote,
Yeah, that's true.
and they would talk about all the new features.
Yeah.
But this time, instead of doing that, they called in 10 different journalists and gave them a keynote one-on-one.
Oh, really?
You didn't know this?
I didn't hear about that.
Oh, dude. So, like, John Gruber got invited, The Verge got invited, and then they gave him a copy. And this is like a week or two before they announced it, right? So, like, Apple announces it on their website, and then this group of journalists were like, oh, yeah, we got called into a special meeting with Apple where Phil Schiller gave us this keynote one-on-one and then sent us on our way with a copy of Mountain Lion, and we've been using it all week, and here's what we think. So it was really crazy because...
It's like a press release, sort of.
It is, yeah. And, like, it's
Which
very
is
prestigious to be in this group of journalists that got to come in.
It's not very Apple-ish to do that. I mean, they'll call you in for their keynote, but I guess maybe they don't want to do the keynote. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's been lots of explanations why they did it this way. Some people think that they are going to be announcing something different at WWDC in the summertime, like possibly a new iPhone. No one knows, so that's why they did that this way.
Maybe.
Or maybe they're just trying to change things up.
Yeah, maybe it was Steve that was the presenter guy. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he's like, we need to have this presented. Like, this is the way that you should do things, like, on stage.
Wait. So you mean Steve Jobs?
Yeah, maybe Steve Jobs was the one that liked to do things like that, like as a presentation, and that was just his way of getting messages out.
Yeah, possibly. And they also have the iPad 3 coming out.
Yeah.
It looks like it's coming out in March. So they can't really have an event and then 3 weeks later have another event.
Yeah.
Right? Because they want to give as much attention to each event as possible.
So
In
what
any case,
happened anyway?
So we have a new version of the OS that came out, or it's coming out in the summertime. It's called Mountain Lion, and they're no longer calling it Mac OS 10.
Just OS 10.
Now it's just called OS 10.
Yeah.
And kind of the big theme is they are converging iOS and
Mac
OS X.
Yeah.
Do you think they're ever going to just call it iOS or OS XI or something where it's just there's just one operating system that goes on all these devices?
God, I hope not. I mean, I hope maybe if they call it that, whatever. But like, I hope that it doesn't go that way completely, because there's a lot of advantage that you get to having a full-on operating system with like overlaying Windows and stuff, rather than it being like.
Oh my gosh!
Is
yeah.
that what you meant? Or no?
Well, yeah. I guess
name?
I guess I just meant the name, but I mean that's definitely a good point too.
I mean, we can talk about that more, but you wanted to highlight something.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the new features of Mountain Lion, right? So, one of the biggest ones, at least for me, I've been waiting for this a long time, is the new Messages app, which you can actually download from Apple's website right now. They have a beta. And basically what Messages is it turns your Mac into like an iOS device, essentially. So you know how if you have an iPad or an iPhone, you can use iMessage to message any other Apple device? Now you can do that on your Mac, and you can message an iPhone, you can message an iPad, they can message you through this new app. It replaces iChat, and it integrates tightly with FaceTime.
So it kicks out the FaceTime app.
You know, I don't know if it kicks out the FaceTime app.
Why would they keep that?
I don't know. I haven't played around with it enough to know for sure.
Can you do other, what do you call it? No, is it just iOS messaging, or can you put like AIM and everything else?
Yes, so it gets rid of iChat altogether, and it replaces... So all those functionalities are now in the Messages app, so you can communicate with people with AIM. And it has a brand new UI, which I like a lot more than the old UI, which I kind of found to be archaic.
The iChat.
The iChat UI, yeah. And I mean the fact that I can message you from my computer on your phone is huge. Yeah. Like,
it shouldn't be like, there shouldn't have been any distinguished between the phone and the desktop anyway. So.
Totally. Yeah. And you know, like when you want to send someone a message and you're at your computer, like you don't want to have to
grab your phone.
You don't want to have to grab your phone, right? It's like, it just makes so much more sense to be able to do it from your computer.
Right. Big
and
screen.
It's so awesome. Yeah, because like a lot of times people will, if you text them, they'll get back to you right away.
Yeah.
At least they will for now, until everyone starts messaging. I don't. But if you message me on my computer,
I'll look at it and I'll think about it.
I'll look at it and then I'll forget about it in 30 seconds, and then I'll never message you. But that's probably my favorite new feature of Mountain Lion. I think it's going to be huge.
iCloud's tightly integrated now.
iCloud's tightly integrated now.
So they say.
So they say.
Because iCloud is so great.
They're moving the Reminders app. So in the new iOS for iPhone, iPad, they have the Reminders app, right? Mm-hmm. But the confusing part is there was no Reminders app for the Mac. Right. So in order to create a reminder, I think you had to go into Mail. Or you could do it in iCal, too.
You could do to-dos in Mail, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you'd either be doing it through Mail.
There's a big disconnect, yeah.
Huge disconnect. Didn't really like the way it was laid out. So now they're going to have a Reminders app for the Mac, which makes it look like it's way easier to manage. Mm-hmm. And I actually might start using the Reminders app, because I think it's crap right now. Mm-hmm. And the only thing it's good for is, having reminders pop up on your phone.
And then the Notes app.
New Notes app for your Mac. Same deal as Reminders. They're kind of fleshing it out. Notification Center, which I think is awesome. So if you're a user of Growl, did you ever use Growl?
It's just Growl.
It basically is just Growl. But the big thing is that the new Notification Center for Mac only works with apps that are purchased through the App Store. Which is why I had a webpage up earlier of an application called, what was it, Hiss?
Hiss, yeah.
And basically what that does is it sends notifications from Growl into Notification Center. Uh-huh. So you can use Notification Center with apps that aren't bought through the App Store. Because really, how many apps do you buy through the App Store?
Right. So let's veer off for a second and talk about this. There's a few other things. You guys can go to apple.com, check out apple.com/macOSX to see the new Mountain Lion features. But it brings up sort of some questions for me. The route that Apple's taking, like you're saying, Notification Center can only be used with just stuff purchased on the Mac App Store. Are we going to start seeing the days where having non-Mac App Store things, having non-Apple approved applications are like going away? You know, are the days where you could go and just like go to download.com and like hack around and find cool stuff to like create better tools for yourself? is that starting to like go away now?
You know, it's an
it
interesting
feels like
point.
they just want to have full control and simplify. But what about us? What about the geeks that like to make some, do hack together things to make their workflow better,
There's one feature that they just released that's in the new OS called Gatekeeper.
Yeah. And
Gatekeeper, along the lines of what you were just saying, basically allows you to do one of three things. It's a security app, and it allows you to turn it on, and at that point you can only install applications from the App Store, or you can only install applications that are signed by Apple, which means the developers have gotten them approved.
Yeah.
Or if you leave it off, you can install anything you want. And some people are like, is this kind of like Apple's first step towards, walking us towards, you're either going to have to buy stuff that is approved by Apple or bought through the App Store entirely.
Yeah.
And I hope not. I mean, I would say it would be crazy for Apple to do that because guys like us wouldn't be able to install whatever we want, and we don't want it to have to be signed by Apple.
But you've seen like hints of that, like you've seen what they did to Final Cut Pro.
Actually, that's so funny that you said it because that's exactly where I was going. It's like Apple has done things before that you're like, whoa, this is like they killed off a really popular product.
Yeah.
Like Final Cut 7, which was huge. In the movie world, and they just killed it in favor of this consumer grade application.
Right.
So I could see them doing it.
Yeah, it's a little like because also the stuff that they do to this new OS where it's a lot more like the iOS experience, and I mean there's certain things I think are just like fundamentally not done right. Like the Reminders app and the Notes app are really good examples of you're legit taking the exact same thing from the phone and putting it on the screen here. There's a lot better ways of doing a UI on a full screen device with a keyboard than there are on here, where you're like going in for a few seconds, you need to do something quick, and then you're out.
Right.
Like there's you've seen better to do apps, and just because Apple puts out one that's just lines, is that all of a sudden now we're stuck on that? Like,
yeah,
I think that Steve Jobs used to talk about how back when they were talking about the digital hub strategy, because back in the day, like small devices had bad UIs, and so his whole thing was, why are we trying to like do all this complicated stuff on a small UI when at home you have a desktop with a big screen and a keyboard, and you can take advantage of like all the stuff, you have better connection to the internet, all this kind of stuff. And now it seems like they're just trying to make everything that's on iOS on here, and there's lots of disadvantages to that, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And trying to like shoehorn in like swipes and all this stuff that doesn't feel natural. Like they're trying to just throw out the playbook of everything we've ever learned and go for something totally different.
At first I thought the same thing. I was like, they're trying to wean us off of Macs. They're getting rid of the window in quotes interface, right, where you get to have different windows for all these different things.
Yeah.
And they're trying to switch us over to this iOS app or operating system on our Macs.
Yeah.
I don't think they're trying to do that now. Now I kind of think more they're trying to take the best things from iOS and where they are applicable, bring them to the Mac. And I like that, but I truly hope that they never try to say, hey, we're just gonna have the same UI
on both
platforms.
Yeah.
They're just different ways of, one has a keyboard and one doesn't. I don't think they would do that because there's so many instances where having a computer like this is so much superior to having an iPad. I really do think iPads are great for consuming like information and media, and a computer like this is great for creating it.
Oh, and yeah,
I don't think those will ever be true. I don't think you'll ever be able to create great content on an iPad.
Yeah, I agree. That's like, I mean, whenever I think of computers, I always think like they're just so limitless of what the things that you can do with them.
Totally.
And then when you think of the iOS, you have to think within the Apple ecosystem all the time. Like, well, is there an app for doing XYZ?
Right.
And with just the Mac or with any computer, you can do anything on it. That's the great part about a personal computer, is like you're limitless of what you can do with it. And my thought, I mean, and I heard a few people talking about this. They have traditionally, or they've recently been changing things to be more prosumer, but the people inside Apple are the ones that use like the hardcore stuff. So why would they like alienate their own people?
Actually, that's a good point.
Like, are they gonna start writing software?
You got developers writing on iPads and iPhones. They're coding on their iPhone.
Yeah.
But here's what I can see happening. So I could see Apple. They have a Gatekeeper, right? And you don't need to use it at this point. You can just leave it off, in which case you can continue to install everything that you want. But by default, the thing that's turned on is it will only allow you to install applications that are signed by Apple or bought through the App Store, right? Mm-hmm. And I could see Apple saying, hey, for you guys, we think what's best is to only let you install apps that have been signed or apps that have been purchased through the App Store, because it solves two major problems, right? First is security. You don't have to worry about downloading, malware or, corrupt software if it's been signed by Apple or if it's coming through the App Store. So that's one major problem that's eliminated. Two is eliminates piracy.
I would say not really a major problem, but...
Well, it could be a major problem in the future.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean,
because they're getting
more and more popular,
yeah,
and I think that they're trying to kind of hedge that before it gets really bad. But piracy, right? Like, they're already starting to eliminate piracy by only letting you buy certain apps through the App Store, like Final Cut Pro.
Sure.
Final Cut Pro X. Uh-huh. So for them, it makes sense because they're like, well, you have to buy an application if you want to use it. There's no way to steal it. Mm-hmm. So I could see Apple doing that. I just really hope that they don't, because I would never want to have I actually might consider not using a Mac anymore if I could only buy apps through the App Store.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like I said, like, a computer's not supposed to be a limited device. It's not supposed to be... It's not even, in my opinion, a device. Like, it's a personal computer. You get to do whatever the fuck you want with it.
Yeah, that's true. It's not a device. Like, it's not a piece of consumer electronics like your iPad is. Yeah. Where it's all run through Apple.
Yeah, like, they have a great, awesome, amazing consumer electronics business, but I don't think that they need to train us to use our computers that way,
Can you imagine in 2 years... And we're like, episode 100 of User Friendly, how to jailbreak your MacBook Pro.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, people have already said that, I've already talked about that, but that's sort of a crazy thing to think about.
It is crazy. So let's wrap up on this. Yeah. Mountain Lion comes out in the summertime. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we're going to hear about a lot more features at WWDC this summer, but if you're interested in new features, Apple's actually put out a really cool video that explains some of the new features, and you can find that at apple.com/Mac OS X, or just Google Mountain Lion, and I'm sure you'll find it. Let's move on to something a little different.
Yes.
I want to talk about Netflix. You're a Netflix user, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you're a streaming Netflix user?
Yeah.
Okay, I am too.
I'm a Quickster user.
You're a Quickster user, as am I. And I've been using Netflix for probably 2 years. And I really like Netflix streaming because first of all, it's dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Dude, it's $8. Is it $8 a month still?
Yeah.
And they have a lot of great content on there, and they're always adding more. And I know there was that big thing with Quickster and all this recent bad press that Netflix has gotten recently, but they're making some big moves, and I'm kind of excited to see where they're going. So... you guys may or may not know, Netflix recently released their very own first Netflix-produced television show, which I can't remember the name of at the moment, but that's not important. I mean, the big news is that they have produced their own show, so now they're starting to produce their own content.
Yeah,
and it seems like they're also making some big deals with different movie producers, television producers, because. I was just reading an article today, actually, and Netflix is getting that movie, The Artist, that won, all those different awards before HBO, before Showtime. They're going to have it first.
That's pretty cool.
Which is pretty big, And granted, Netflix doesn't have a ton of content, and even the content they do have is always rotating. So I wanted to watch Weird Science the other day.
It's gone now?
It's gone now.
Yeah, I hate
which
that.
Sucks. But I really love Netflix a lot, and one of the things I thought was really cool is when they released this new series that they just released, they didn't release it one episode at a time. Mm-hmm. They just released the entire series.
Oh, that's nice.
It is really nice, right? Because normally, if you like a show, you're going to watch it and then wait a week.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so now Netflix...
They're just like, watch it whenever you
Yeah,
want.
they're just like, here's the whole series. It's 10 episodes long. And you can just watch the whole thing at once, or you can watch like one episode at a time over a series of days. But like, the bottom line is...
Do you know, is this like a pretty top-notch produced type of thing, or what?
It was...
Would it help if you did your research here?
I don't like doing research. The show is called Lilyhammer.
It's actually a puppet show?
It's a puppet show. It's a highly pornographic puppet show. So it's called Lilyhammer or Lilyhammer or something like that. It's like a Finnish show.
Yeah.
And
sounds good.
It sounds great, doesn't it? And I was actually watching a review by the Totally Rad Show. They just reviewed this show, and they were saying they kind of had mixed reviews on how good it actually was. But one of the things they were saying that I thought was really relevant was that you would never see this show on CBS or ABC. Like, it's kind of a risky show. It's like one of those HBO type shows where it's like you would never see it anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And it stars I forget the guy's name. He's one of the band members of the E Street Band. And he was in The Sopranos. Did you ever watch The Sopranos?
Not really, no.
Actually, neither did I. But it's kind of like a spin-off of The Sopranos where it takes one of the major characters from that show and he gets his own show, even though it's not the same character at all, but he plays the same character.
Okay.
Anyway, that's not important. I think the important part is Netflix is really growing a lot. Mm-hmm. And when you watch Netflix, what do you primarily watch it on?
Computer.
Oh, you do watch it on your computer?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I had a TV, I would probably watch it on there. But, yeah, just computer. And I do it on my phone, too, sometimes.
Oh, you do? Mm-hmm. And it actually works really well, doesn't it? Even via 3G.
It's pretty good, yeah.
I watch it primarily on my Xbox. The Netflix app is probably like the second most thing that I use on my Xbox.
Yeah, I've thought about just getting one for that because I thought it would be
cool.
Dude,
it's so good, and they upgraded it in the last like 6 months, so the new UI is really fantastic. But then you get to watch shows in HD, which I'm sure you don't really even care about. But wait a second, you don't even have a TV, do you? You've got like a little CRT, like a little like a little tube TV, isn't it like 20 inches?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think you need an Xbox. It's probably better on your iPhone.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I'd have to do a whole investment on a TV, and
although TVs are so cheap now, you could probably spend $300. And
yeah,
get,
dude,
like,
I saw one out on the street today.
Did you really? Like a flat screen, dude? You should have taken it.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, it's interesting how they like position themselves sort of as not a threat for a long time, and they were just like, we're doing this DVD by mail thing, and then like all of a sudden they're streaming, and that was a big deal. Yeah. And then now it's like, who needs the cable companies, you know? Because they totally went around that, and now they're just internet, you know, internet video on demand, and the whole season, which is really interesting.
It is really cool, and it's really interesting to see how many people are competing for this space. Probably sucks, dude. I mean, Comcast has just announced they're releasing a Netflix type streaming service.
Oh, really?
They're charging $5 for it.
The thing about it, even with all Netflix's foibles, they still have like such a customer brand loyalty. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they really do.
Like we were bashing them, or a lot of people were, and now we're still watching it. They would still go home and watch their Netflix. You know, the one thing I wish they could do, and I'm sure lots of people, is that if you could do social and like you could recommend stuff to me and I could recommend stuff to you.
That really actually would be cool.
So we'll hopefully see that one day.
Yeah, that would be awesome. It would be interesting to see how it all fleshes out too, because I know like with like Comcast entering the market, everyone and Amazon of course is in the market, and they're trying to get you to watch streaming movies if you have a Prime membership.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still really love Netflix the most.
Yeah.
And I find it really easy to use, and of course, it's awesome that it's available on literally any device that you have. You can watch Netflix.
Yeah.
I just want to see them really kind of like add to their catalog.
Yeah, and that it doesn't rotate out.
Yeah, and that doesn't rotate out as much. But wrapping up on Netflix, there's one show I want to recommend to you. If you have a Netflix account, check out Workaholics. It's a totally bizarre show. It was on Comedy Central, which I don't have cable.
Did it get canceled?
Did it?
I don't know, because I just never heard anything after that.
You've heard of Workaholics? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, it was so funny and just totally strange, and at times very inappropriate, but hilarious. And it's on there right now. So if you have Netflix, you should check it out.
Do you get like a money for saying that?
And actually, every time you watch it, I get paid $1. So I'm sure I'm going to make at least $6. Okay, well, let's move on. You want to talk about an app, right?
Yeah.
This is a Mac app.
This is a Mac app on the App Store.
Is it on the App Store?
Yeah. Mac App Store or just not, just regular download. But this is an app by Amoeba. So these are the guys, they make kind of cool little utility apps. Like they make an app called, what's it called? What is the other one called?
Audio Hijack.
Audio Hijack, thank you. Audio Hijack, which lets you record any system sound, any sound coming out of your Mac. So like you could record Safari, you could record Skype.
Right.
You can record, anything.
I use Audio Hijack Pro all the time.
I do too, and like they've had that around for a long time, and this was a pretty expensive app, if I'm not mistaken. It was probably around $60, $70, and
was it really that much?
So that was a big thing, and then I guess they had some trouble getting it into the App Store, so they rewrote the basis of Audio Hijack in this new app called Piezo.
I like the way you inflect that.
That's cool.
Piezo.
It's Piezo.
Yep.
And it's a really stripped down, cool looking Audio Hijack type of app where you can just basically point it out whatever app you'd like it to take audio from, and then hit record, and it has like little VU meters to tell you like what levels you're on, and that's it. And it's super simple, and like I love it. I think it's such a cool idea, and it's only $10. So like it's like cheap. All these things put together, like better UI, stripped down, so it's not so crazy. Like Audio Hijack was kind of like a big hog as far as like what it did.
And Audio Hijack did not have a beautiful UI at all.
No,
this really does. And it's super simple to use.
Audio Hijack was around a long time ago. I mean, that came out like in the early 2000s. But yeah, so it's taken this like awesome technology and using it, and now putting it together with a really great UI. So I'm sure you use it for when you do your podcast.
Yep.
I did it when I used to do For the Geek.
Is that what you used? Do you use Audio Hijack Pro?
Yeah, I would use Audio Hijack Pro, and so anybody out there that wants to do podcasts over the internet, with people that obviously don't live near you, it's really easy to tell it to record Skype, hit record, and then you'd have it just recording your conversation right there.
I like how when you're looking at their webpage, like one of the examples they have is like you're recording audio.
Oh yeah,
which is totally illegal.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It's like that's right, because you could use it to record streaming apps.
Totally, yeah.
You could use it to record Spotify. Of course, it'd be a huge pain in the arse to do it this way.
Yeah, just like go and split it up.
Dude, yeah, it reminds me of when I used to have a mini
disc.
A mini disc player, yeah. And in order to put music on it, you had to play from a source, and then you had to hit record.
Yeah.
And then I would let it record all night long, and that's how I got music onto it.
But dude, if you used optical, if you used an optical cable, it would auto split everything. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I used to do that at night and to have
really?
Record a CD. It was so dumb. It was like you take a CD, and instead of getting a CD player, you have a mini disc player. So you just like record a CD into the mini disc player, so it's small.
Yes,
I
totally.
mean, yeah, you can make mixes, but like I don't know. I just would take CDs and put them in there.
I used to do the same thing. I don't even know what kind of music I used to put on that thing. I just remember I'd have to leave it running all night long.
We should find a mini disc player and do a little mini review.
Yeah, from like 1995. They were expensive too. I had one of those little Sony ones. It was bright blue.
I know exactly the one you're talking about.
And it was really cool looking.
I had the Sharp one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I think Sharp was like the creator of Minidisc, weren't they?
I don't know.
Anyway, this looks like it's super handy. Like at first, I wouldn't think like what you could actually use.
Yeah.
Piezo for, but you could also use it to record like audio from like YouTube videos or something.
Yeah, it's a very handy utility if you need audio. Like, it's always kind of like, I don't know, it's like a mind teaser. Like, how am I gonna get this audio out? I can hear it, but how am I gonna get it in like digital quality?
Totally.
And like, I guess I could patch in and patch out of my own computer, but then it's like, but this does it all in one thing, and you don't have to have a big crazy UI where you're seeing like the audio go by. You don't have to load up GarageBand and figure out how do you patch this in, And so I think that's a super nice value. Like when I would do my podcast, and I'm sure it's similar for you, we would record Skype with this app, and then basically just add a bumper to the front, add a bumper to the back, and then you're done, you know?
Yeah. People will be surprised how much effort it takes to even record an audio podcast. It's easy when two people are in the same room.
In the same room, sure.
But once you get more than two people or more, oh my gosh, there's so many things that you have to add to make sure the audio levels are all right. Mm-hmm. It's pretty crazy.
I heard this way that cracked me up. It's like probably the most ghetto but kind of funny way that you could do it. You would basically have everybody start at the same time, and you'd all be recording yourself on your own computer. I've heard that,
yes.
Isn't that weird?
And then you splice them all together.
Uh-huh.
Dude, that would be so much work.
I guess for the person that's like, we need to get the best audio quality possible. So you're talking into your mic recording yourself, you're talking to your mic recording yourself, and then we'll all put it together in one.
Well, I was reading the same thing. I wonder if we actually read the same article.
Dude. If it sounds like it's over Skype, who cares? Like, I don't know.
Well, the problem with Skype for Mac, this is the big problem, is it auto gains your level, right? Which means it will raise or lower your volume depending on what it thinks should be the right level.
Yeah.
On the Windows version, you could turn that off. But on the Mac version, you can't turn it off unless you go into the XML file and you put this little bit of code in that tells it to turn it off all the time.
That's why another reason why the Mac version of Skype blows.
Oh my gosh! And so we're doing a Cult of Mac podcast, and we've been doing these trial runs.
Yeah.
So we're recording them, and then I go through them, and my audio level is always super high.
Really?
Which I have a loud voice. You think you would lower it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm clipping the entire time, so I just sound staticky and crappy, and then everyone else sounds like this the whole time. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So
That's happened to me so many times.
It does. Yeah. It's Skype's fault. So if you put this little bit of code in, it fixes that problem. But if you want to have perfect audio, everyone needs to record themselves, and you need to splice it together.
Or you have to have like a board where you're actually doing.
Or you need to have a
physical like patching.
But that's a super pain in the ass.
Yeah, dude. And you have to have it all set up all the time or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. This guy that was doing this, he wrote this article. He's like, everyone just needs to record themselves. He's like, so they just need to like boot up, audio hijack, or whatever. And I'm like, dude, how are you asking people or call Skype recorder? I'm like, you're asking everyone who comes on your show to like, spend $20?
Or like get Audacity or whatever.
Yeah, it's hard enough to get people to come on the show. And you don't need to ask them to install something on their computer.
It'd be so annoying to edit too. Like I've edited music a lot, and I've done like tricks about cutting things together, but like having to make it so the conversation doesn't sound like it's off. Like that would be so annoying. Like
totally.
Like everybody, okay, 1, 2, 3, record.
Yeah, everyone hit record. Hey, does everyone have their watches synced? Yeah. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Okay, everyone ready?
Wait, I wasn't ready.
Yeah, I didn't hit record. Is it recording?
Wait, was that just a test run?
I didn't know we were starting. I think that's it, man.
Cool.
Hopefully next week I will be feeling 100% better. I've been trying not to cough this whole episode because I really have to cough. Hold on.
Thanks for sharing. I've been coughing the whole time.
No, I don't want to get you sick either.
Thanks.
I don't think I'm contagious anymore.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see by next week.
Next week I have like a monkey bit me. Well, anyways, everybody, thank you all for watching this week's episode of User Friendly. You can find us on, and I'm going to be bold here, userfriendlyshow.com, which is our new website.
Yes. In fact, I wonder if it's got all set up. It will be set up by next week, though.
It will be.
And where can I find you? If I want to just hear about things you're doing,
come to Seattle and we'll hang out. Cool. We'll get Starbucks coffee.
Yeah, Roberto will take you to the finest restaurant in Seattle.
And you can actually find me on Twitter. I'm just my full name, Roberto Hoyos, ROBERTOHOYOS. And I have a company called Throwboy, and we make geeky throw pillows. And you can find us on Twitter too. At throwboy.com. What about you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter too. I am at Erfon, at ERFON on Twitter, and I own a little geeky clothing brand called Might Tees. I'm wearing my Admiral Akbar ASCII shirt.
It's a trap.
It's a shirt. And my company's called Mike Tees, and if you're interested in Mike Tees, you can find us on Twitter at MIGHTTEES.
Awesome.
So that's it. Well, thanks a lot, guys. We will catch you next week.
Peace.